We got one coming in from Manuel. Says, "Hey, Willie and Pat, wanted to know what you guys thought. Do you believe Demon Souls should have an easier casual mode in order for it to be more accessible to more people? I believe having more options is always a good thing. I find myself quite the hypocrite when it comes to suggesting Demon Souls be easier to jump in, though, believing it should stay oppressive as the game always was. Am I wrong to think that way? Do you think it would be fun if they added an easier mode to it? All
So I went
entertaining,
back.
otherwise stay cool."
Sorry, I thought the email was done. I thought that Demon Souls was super hard, and then I went back after beating Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, and that game is a joke. That game is actually really easy compared to its later games. It's the most obtuse, fucked up, like confusing mess, right? It's a fucking mess, and it's so confusing, but it's actually like not that tough.
So what do you think?
I think adding an easy mode to that game would be ridiculous.
I think options are good, and I think if it was not a mode, and if you did something in the form of like pick up an item and it changes something or whatever the fuck,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
Wooly,
fine.
that exists. It's like use the item to make yourself human and then invade, or
yeah, something
something
a little bit more like directly for that purpose, in the way that like Bayonetta handles it, for example, where you equip easy mode as an item, right? But if they decide to not do that because they want the game to be a hard game that is just hard, period, and this is what it is, that's totally okay. It's up to them. It's up to the developers. You know, that's I'm like, at the end of the day, if they want the option available, it's because they designed for it, and that's fine. And if they don't want it to be there, that's fine too.
I think this question actually has a lot more value in something like Sekiro or even the later Dark Souls games than Demon Souls, because yeah, like I said, like Demon Souls becomes dramatically easier once you actually know how it works, and there is exhaustive documentation. And even if they do change stuff around for the new deaths, there will be exhaustive documentation very quickly, and that's where most of that game's difficulty actually is.
Yeah, I see, like, this is a discussion that's been had multiple times, and I think ultimately where it kind of lands is like, having gotten into games like, we go into like character action games and talk about how hard they are, when it's like that's a self-imposed difficulty, right? Based on the attempt to get to S rank on the mission ranking, and to S rank our combat phases as much as possible. I think that if the game is using its difficulty as part of like the tone of the story in a way, that is a good reason too for it to stay as hard as it is. That's valid, that's I find it's very hard to like, this is a kind of question where it's like only the people making the game can choose how they feel about this, and that's why it's a bit of a hard thing. Like like as far as like what it matters to me, it's like I can ignore an option. I've never used an item in Wonderful 101. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what it even does as soon as you select it, right? It's
Hey,
so,
have you ever played a game that you had those self-imposed rules and then you'll accidentally use one and you get like anxious and confused as to what's happening?
So confused, dude. The missiles, you get these missiles that launch in 101 that like hit enemies in the middle of the fight, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? It's the most fucking random ass shit, and it's so wild. You're like, what? Like, totally, And so I as someone who's capable of doing that, and I don't mind, when something exists that's not for me in a game, I can just ignore what I don't want. It doesn't bug me whether it's there or not. Like, I don't get upset at its presence because I can simply ignore it. So, it just comes down to, it's like, well, now if the director of the game decides that like they want this to make a statement, they want the game's difficulty to be part of what's going on here, I think that should not garner flack, is how I'm coming at it. But I don't think options are bad.
I feel like a crazy person because I just end up saying it over and over. Like they've talked about how summoning multiplayer help is the game's easy mode.
True.
Like life is easier with friends to help you.
True. That's you're totally right. Summoning as much as you need to every time is a fucking amazing easy mode because some people will come in and do the level for you. That's yeah. Woolie, obviously it's up to the developer. No one is going to break into the studio and code in an easy mode. It's a nothing
You
statement.
don't know that.
Are you willfully choosing to like frame it in a way that misses what I'm trying to say here? Like, are you willfully, deliberately trying to do that? Because it sounds like it. It sounds like it.
It was me. I wrote that.
Okay. Well, again, again, I can ignore what I don't care about. I think options are good. At the same time, I don't think if they choose to ignore it, you should write an article about how this game is behind the times and how they need to get with it and how it's stupid that we're stuck in a world where games are still fucking being gatekeepers about difficulty. I get it. I totally get it. You know? And I mean, you know, and that also, please make sure that you understand that that's an entirely different discussion from accessibility, for example, and making sure that the game has enough options and control settings that you can make it work for people that have different accessibility needs. But yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, you can use the statement of the game's difficulty to say something about your design. That is a valid language to communicate a message to the player with. I'm not going to stand here and be like, and thus it always must be that way, and games should just be hard, because that's not genuinely how I feel. How about the concept of nuance? You know, sometimes in life things can be nuanced. It's quite fascinating. It's interesting how things don't always turn out to be black and white.
Because I would like your opinion. I don't know if we've talked about this specifically, but I'd like your opinion on anti-nuance in the nuanced version of this. Let's say you have a game that has multiple difficulty modes, or say a difficulty item, like you described, like the chicken helmet.
Yeah.
And what if the easier difficulty is called poo poo pee pee bitch boy mode?
Go for it.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, because I'm down with that.
Yeah, you will be way stronger. You will one-shot enemies that are like fucking tanks, but your character will fart themselves the whole way through the game.
Because, like, I think it's really funny when you have games that have multiple difficulties, and Doom and Wolfenstein in particular. Wolfenstein's got it the worst, where in Wolfenstein, it's like, I'm a little baby. And it's like BJ with like a bonnet and like a sucker in his mouth.
Totally.
And it's like, even though
shaming you,
I know there are people who are playing those games on harder difficulties and having a miserable time. It is literally because they cannot handle like the game calling them a little baby. And that argument, when it comes up, is extra hilarious because it's like, why does the game have to call me a little bitch? And like the toxic in me,
I don't like,
can't help but respond with, well, stop being a little bitch then.
Okay, I don't think it's necessary. I don't. You don't need to do that. You know, you genuinely don't need to do that. But as I said, the difficulty of the game is a valid language for communicating your message.
What if I got it. Demon Souls has an easy mode. It is like 50% reduction in stats across the board, or increase, whichever would help you, right?
Yeah.
But when you sign up, when like for the EULA, there's an extra little check mark in the easy mode prompt, and it says like, I fully admit that I have a tiny wiener. and it then has to post that to Twitter before it lets you unlock the easy mode.
You got a nice little yep. You start the game up, and some of the lines of dialogue are changed so that, like, you know, one of the people you talk to just like, it smells like bitch.
What if you're a girl?
You
Then
know?
say big vagina. There you go.
Yep.
Because the energy that I'm feeling, and I know you know this, is that weird human giant skit with Aziz Ansari, where he tries to go rent some rollerblades. And one of the questions is, have you told your parents you're gay yet?
Right.
And he's like, what? No. And it's like, well, no rollerblades for you.
Right.
And then he's got to go talk to his parents, and it's a whole thing.
So
it's a fucking weird skit.
You hit the just make sure that everybody knows, you know, put it all over the game. You have what was the joke? Game journalist mode was the thing people were running with for a while there. Yeah,
I mean that's not going away. That one's not going away because it's getting funnier every year.
See, what it comes down to is the people on both ends of the spectrum, the ones who are the fucking edgelords going on about the difficulty as the only thing that's valid that needs to exist in every other game, and the people that are crying babies that are upset about the fact that they can't skip past any challenge they encounter, are both insufferable pieces of shit who I want to see upset.
You know what the funniest thing is?
So this is what you have to understand about the way I look at this situation.
The funniest thing is, to me, is that despite the fact that I am adamant in that I actually love that those games don't have difficulty modes and would lament their inclusion, I find the hardcore get good, you fucking difficulty for difficulty's sake element of the Dark Souls community to be way more infuriating overall, because those people did not exist when Demon Souls came out. They only started to show up when the game was done, Prepare to Die
and
fucking
then the
advertising showed up.
Yeah. So yeah,
insufferable, just so annoying,
absolutely garbage. The worst.
Did you beat the boss using a good weapon? Do it over. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I remember when people were figured out that you could shoot man-eaters through the fog wall with the arrow in fucking 3-2 in Demon Souls, and everybody was like, that's the greatest. You fucking killed that boss, no damage. Holy shit, just shoot him through the door.
I've sat next to Punch Mom and watched her struggle in things that, you know, were on basic settings and like kind of try to piece it out and be like, okay, no, this is just not working. It's like we need to change the mode. We need to switch it up, you know? And I've seen like difficulty down switches result in like, okay, now she can actually enjoy this and this makes sense. And I've also sat and like had seen like her struggle with stuff, and I've been like, okay, let's try to figure out how to beat this as is, you know, and like kind of learn how to get a little bit further. And it doesn't always work out, but in some cases when it does, it's like, oh shit, yeah, cool, you did it, you know.
But here's the question, right? When she was having trouble, did you get up onto the couch and start dancing around and pissing all over the room and going, why can't you beat it, bitch baby? Why can't you beat it, bitch?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Did that happen?
No, I didn't drop sack over her freaking brow and be like, ha, bitch baby bitch, bitch baby bitch.
Now that can be fun. That is fun. Getting toxic, but still, come on.
Yeah.
Have some class, people.
So most importantly, if we take this nice little sliding scale and we grab the group of people that hang out at both ends of it, they can fucking go. We can turn this from a walk-off stage into a final destination. You know, we can get rid of them. That's the most important part. We got one coming in from Tom.
Hey man, what's up?
Tom says, hey, crazy talk and bring me to life. Mainly a question to Pat, as he partakes in games that tend to have grinding.
Yes, I do.
And how do you decide whether grinding is spending your time, whether it's worth it or not?
How much I'm enjoying the game.
Is it purely based on reward content, or does it have to be the enjoyable grind action in and of itself? Does it have to have ways to shorten optimize time spent? Speaking for myself, I enjoy the grinding activity when rewards are obtainable beyond just hoping RNG will be nice to me. An example is in Monster Hunter World, I like grinding for armor upgrades and layered equipment, but I hate grinding for decorations. Keep doing you. Thank you.
I mean, there's a really complicated answer to this, and it's the more attainable the goal is, and the more enjoyable the process is, and the more consistent the progression is, the more likely I am to do it. Right? If I'm just hitting a fucking slot machine, go to hell. I did deco grinding for a while, and that's a slot machine, and then I just said fuck it and just cheated all the decos I wanted into my game. Fuck it. That's terrible. But I never did that with armor, because armor has a very strict like path, and it is technically RNG, but it's a lot fairer. For something that is miserable to do, I will really only grind it if the benefit is something that I think will make the game more fun to play. So, like grinding out a new weapon type in something, you know, just, or Destiny will give you like unique guns that will have cool gimmicks and stuff like that. And this does not include grinding that is playing the game, like just playing the game. You know, like Dead by Daylight, for example, has a leveling system where you get perks for your characters using blood points you get from matches. And I hit the cap over the weekend, and I've hit the cap multiple times. And the reason why you hit the cap is so that when the new character, which is Pyramid Head, comes out tomorrow, just bam, just dump 1 million blood points into him. Right? I mean, you get that just by playing matches. Right? You're not even doing anything specific. You're just playing matches and getting points. You're just not spending them.
You know, I think it's pretty known at this point, but like I like the internal experience meter more than the external experience meter. So I will have fun, quote unquote, grinding against one enemy that I cannot beat until I can, versus grinding over thousands of enemies that I can beat and just, you know, constantly do so to achieve something else, like numerically. I like the repetition when I know that I can try something a little bit different to see if it makes it a little bit better in my style of it, to see if I can improve. So the improvement angle is what allows me to have fun with the repetition. And if the improvement angle is removed and it's simply a numerical equation, I can do that, but it would be a lie to say like I've never done that. That's just not true. But I do I do it as long as I'm interested, and the moment it stops being worth it or interesting to me, I immediately change tasks. So when I've played RPGs, I've done some shit where I'd have to go like, you know, make sure you get to this level in order to get this ability, or go grind out this side quest or whatever the fuck, right? I played Whack-a-Box, you know, I got all the Whack-a-Box things. I'll go do that as long as like I'm like, okay, I can see the challenge here and I can try to overcome it. But like when I'm doing this, the difference is just like my interest is a thread, and the moment the thread breaks, if it's just repeating the same activity with success constantly being granted to me, I will walk away as soon as I'm like, nah, fuck this, I'm done. You know, versus if there's a challenge that I'm trying to overcome, in which case it's a lot more fun. But
so one of the more interesting things is there is a current controversy in Destiny, which is like, by the way, I played Destiny a lot over the past year. Dude, that game is falling apart. But there's a current controversy because there's an activity called a Forge, which is a 3-man activity. It takes about 10 minutes. And you have automatic respawn. There's no like wiping on it.
Okay.
Like if you die, you just respawn. And the worst thing that can happen is that you just lose. And what happens when you lose is that it loads you back into the same instance
Okay.
when the timer runs out. And that game has an item level, and what you can do is you can lower your item level below the minimum. So the minimum item level is 750, but there are rare like Halloween items that are 0. So you can lower your power level to like 680, which is lower than the game could possibly go.
Okay.
And what that does is that puts you into matchmaking only with people who have also intentionally fucked up their item level. And the reason why you would do this is you load in with 2 other people who are just going to AFK for literal days at a time, because the completion of a forge, even when completely failed, still gives you drop chances.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
And people are using this to fucking farm out just absurd amounts of a new currency they just put into the game.
That is a spectacular example of failed design.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
And this activity is pretty fun, but the thing is like, it is a fucked up thing in Destiny. This keeps happening over and over and over. There was a loot cave in Destiny 1. There was a different AFK forge farming thing last year. And it is this thing of like, nothing is more rewarding in terms of like actual like in-game rewards in Destiny than AFKing for thousands of hours in an activity that you don't intend to play. And that is fucked. That is fucked.
When breaking the system is more fun for some people.
And every time this happens, they go, well, shit, I guess we should probably increase the rewards, because
Jesus Christ,
playing the game is so much less rewarding than not playing the game.
Hanging out in one location doing one stupid thing over and over.
I did that for something else a while back. I had Destiny 2 running in a fucking windowed tab for like 300 hours, just grinding forge materials like 6 months ago or whatever.
Is there a point when you get what you want and then you go and have fun?
Oh yeah.
Does it come after that?
Yes, it ostensibly does.
Okay.
I could talk for a long time
but
about the stuff that I don't like in Destiny now. Destiny is the most frustrating game I have ever played, because it is not a 7. It is a series of 9s and 2s back to back over and over.
Okay, here's the thing. You said like there's a point where you'd get what you're looking for, and then you'd ostensibly go and have fun. But is it not always yet? Is it not always more rewarding to stay in that location and do that activity?
No, because it doesn't give you everything. It only gives you certain types of rewards.
Okay, so once you complete the table, then you're done.
Yeah, the main thing is people do it for power level. Like just increased item level.
Okay,
so
but it's not an experience farm, for example.
No, it is literally an experience farm. It's not for different items, it's for experience.
Oh. So then there would be no point to like going anywhere else.
Yeah, pretty much. Why would you do anything other than this, which is the fastest and the easiest?
Yeah, okay, got it, right. So it's as bad as it sounds. Great. Okay.
Yep, it totally is.
Cool. Yes, that is kryptonite. That is fucking kryptonite. Boy.
Hold on a second. I have somebody who talks quite often. Hey, Valriet. Now, I never played it. You did Last Wish once a year after it came out and quit the game for over 2 years. How many hours on Destiny do I have for this to count? Hold on, where is it? I know I have. Oh, yeah, 473 hours. I never played Destiny 2? Go fuck yourself. I hate that critique. You haven't played enough of a game to criticize it when you've got hundreds of hours into it. I absolutely hate that.
You know, it really is best to just like not even not even engage. But like, man,
But I know Valriet. I see that dude all the time.
yeah. All I can say is we're only human, and to those who are
I'm not.
to those who are, yes, you are currently
I'm part toilet.
transitioning into a toilet bowl, partially indeed. We've seen the artwork of it, but the idea that the person who is currently mid type of like, man, I hate when they talk to they call out these things or whatever, and it's like, I get it, you're not wrong, but there's just definitely these moments of like, wait, what? You like, it's hard to explain if you're not in the chair, where you like suddenly something you said comes back super misunderstood, and you're like, can I just take 5 seconds to explain what the fuck, what's that about? It's really, really hard to not want to address that when it pops up. And I so it's just like, it's just, you know, I get it. I do get it. But that this is the weird, what are you talking about, you know? But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You know. Some people love the callouts, some people don't. It is what it is. Hey,
I like to call out.
I think we got.
Okay, the 300 hours in Forge was an exaggeration. It's like, calm down. No, if you want to actually talk, like the biggest problem like Destiny and Warframe has is they have their little seasonal things. And those seasonal things include cosmetic elements and in some cases certain weapons that you can't get one. And now that I've missed some of them, the desire to go back will always be gone.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I'll never be able to get that gun, or I'll never be able to get that cosmetic. Well, fuck.
Into the trash goes the entire desire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I
because they're collection games.
Exactly.
And the idea is that they use the season on a collection game to like really incentivize the use of the season. But if you ever fall off, then uh-oh.
Hey, dude, Gengar's gone forever. You had a season to get in.
You joke, but is Gengar in Sword and Shield?
you had a period of time to go catch a Gengar or evolve it, and now that's gone. That Pokemon is gone. Your deck says you saw it though, because you saw other people that had a Gengar, but you'll never catch a Gengar.
Oh, cool. Oh,
gotta catch them all. No, change that. We're not saying that anymore.
Do you feel like Pokemon didn't just set up gotta catch them all for them, but like the attitude associated with getting all 151 kind of set a tone for like every collectible game ever?
It did, but then I think that if they could look into the future, they would have not used it. They wouldn't have done that. They would have went another way with it, because the fact that they stopped saying that very clearly illustrates that they're like, oh boy, like that is coming back to bite us in the ass when we make it impossible for you to catch the ball.
Because I'm in this fucked up place, right? And I don't mean to keep belaboring the point, but like I look at Destiny and I really love to play Destiny and have had a shit ton of fun playing Destiny. And the last season they did was miserable and awful. It was terrible. And now I'm like, well, I can never go back because there's stuff all I've missed, and that's that.
Probably catch a little. Probably catch a little. Pokemon.
You can kind of get some of the ones you saw on TV.
Probably catch some,
but not the coolest ones.
Probably catch a little. Pokemon. Yeah. Look, dude.
Yeah.
Like, if Destiny wants to set itself up to basically, you know, just not let you fucking get the things they're showing you that are in the game after a certain point of time, well, you know, the FOMO has the reverse edge of it. The reverse edge of FOMO is like I don't care anymore. You know?
Well, it was just a cosmetic. It was like, yeah, it was a cool cosmetic that I would have had to work my ass off for a whole season that sucked ass in an event that was terrible.
Like when you try to use FOMO on people too aggressively as a like get back in here to get your reward tool, do not be surprised when
Dude,
the response, the bounce back off of that is completely mentally checking out of the game.
Woolie, can I grab you for 10 more minutes on Destiny to get your non-MMO ass like playing guy brain on this?
Sure.
Because this game is going to do the weirdest shit for an MMO loot game. They have complained often about how the game is too big, right? It keeps getting buggier, right? So what they're going to do for their new expansion is they are going to vault planets and activities.
Permanently.
No, they're going to go into the Disney vault and come out once a year so that you can, maybe get those rewards. And when they come back, maybe they'll be rotated in this year. Menagerie will come back and it'll be updated. And this is being combined with sunsetting of weapons, where if you get a really good gun with perfect perks, it will only last like 6 months to 18 months before you won't be able to upgrade it, and it will lose its viability and power. So, even if it's your favorite gun.
Reverse DLC.
So
we're gonna take it out of the game occasionally.
So the cynicism for this is that I'll start Destiny 2 soon, and I won't be able to do the original Destiny 2 campaign because the planets won't be there. And they'll bring back Mercury, or, whatever planet it is. And the guns that are Mercury, they're now new, and we've re-rolled them so that you can regrind actual identical copies of your existing guns that are now stronger. There's a huge argument in that community over, like, people are like, you need to sunset weapons because otherwise you're going to have everything in the game and there won't be anything left to grind, compared to people like me that are like, I already grinded for it, fuck off, don't take it away from me.
Oh, if you have the reward, it gets removed?
No, it's more complicated than that, because of course it is. So the game, everything is item level, which is just the power level of any individual item, right? Every season, the top power level goes up.
Yeah.
Right? So this season it's 900, 3 months from now it'll be 920, etc. And that affects all of your stats, right? After 1 year, your favorite gun that you got on January 1st, 2020, on January 1st, 2021, you will no longer be able to upgrade it to the new top power level. So it will always be 20 or 50 or whatever weaker than anything new that you get, or anything that is 6 months old, which means it will no longer be viable for hard content.
Okay, so it'll basically, you won't be able to make it strong enough to keep up with where the game's going.
And it will devalue over time, right? That's what they mean by weapon sunsetting. They're not taking them away. They're just slowly walking away.
And do things that get included in the game always get stronger so that you like basically can you not
Destiny
keep using your really good
weird
ability as you play the rest of the game, that, like, you know what I mean? Like, are enemies suddenly getting way stronger with each update that make it not viable?
So Destiny does power weird. Your item level, which is your power level or whatever, it's just the combination of the levels of all the items you're currently carrying, right? Enemies have a specific power level, right? So an enemy will have like a power level of 1,000, right? If you are power level 1,000, you will be doing the intended damage to them, right? Like they would balance it however you would in a Halo game or whatever the fuck, right? If you're 950, they will have a statistical advantage over you of about 50 points. Okay. Right? Which means that if your favorite gun is 2 years old and it is a fantastic meta weapon with the best perks and you love the way it fires, that means if you want to continue to use it, that 950 gun in a 1,000 armor loadout will actually put you at power level 980, which will make you way, way weaker in power level 1,000 content. And that will only get worse over time.
Only in that content.
Yeah, only in the tough stuff, which is their the high-end PvP or raids or stuff like that.
Okay, pause. Here's where I don't understand enough about the genre.
Got it.
Will you ever have to fight anything that is weaker than that current level enemy?
Totally.
You will have to go back and fight older things.
Yeah, there's tons of shit all over the place that have different power levels.
Yes, okay. So it's not like everything you play and fight from this point forward will be 1,000.
No, it just means that anything new or anything hard, this thing will not be worthwhile. Now, people compare it to MMOs because in MMOs, you have a gear treadmill, right? People are even saying, like, FF14 does that in every raid patch where your guns are just numerically stronger, right? The problem with Destiny's design is that in Final Fantasy XIV, in EverQuest, in FF11, in World of Warcraft, your sword is a stick with stats on it. It doesn't matter what it like. It has a look, right? But it's just stats. It's just a big old stat juice.
It's a number stick, yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's a number stick. It doesn't matter. In Destiny, the guns are like, this is a sniper rifle that has a weird gimmick, or this is a machine gun that reloads when you kill that automatically reloads when you kill somebody. They have functional gameplay changes.
Okay.
So people get really attached to their specific guns.
Okay.
Because when I upgrade my sword in FF14, my character doesn't play any differently. But when you tell me that my, God rolled perfect paradox shotgun is no longer viable for high-end content, it's like, that's my favorite shotgun in the game. And there aren't many shotguns that feel anything like it.
So that's just gone. Yeah, okay.
So
I get you.
That essentially is gone when I want to go to a raid, so that sucks.
Yeah, that's terrible. And is the idea of vaulting planets supposed to be that, like, we don't intimidate people by spoiling them for choice when they're new players?
No, it's that they have talked a lot where they've had something where, like, everything in the game gives good rewards, and then people grind out to power cap too quickly. And then they make it so only the newest, hardest stuff has rewards, and then most of the game's content is dead because 80% of the game's locations don't give you any good rewards. So their solution is to give everything decent rewards and remove a third of the game. So that oh my god, it's
that is and that is the final decision after like weeks and weeks and weeks of board meetings about what the best way to address this would be.
Clearly arguing about the way this shit works for years. Now the game has been developed in the weirdest way possible that I've ever seen, in that, like, it was a non-MMO that slowly became an MMO under Activision and then under Bungie, and then they tried a seasonal model, and then 6 months into the seasonal model got the fucking feedback that, yo, this sucks. And that feedback hit really hard during their worst season.
I'm going to go ahead and assume, too, that, like, the reason why you can't just scale upwards to create the difficulty you're looking for is because there is an intended amount of, let's say, like, if at the strongest when a weapon is at cap, if the strongest type of enemy you're going to fight takes X number of bullets to fucking kill, they don't want that to just be like, well, now you fight it for an hour instead of half an hour.
Yeah, so
they don't want the fights to become nothing.
You're completely right. So the thing is that, like, people are like, well, why don't you just make all the weapons stronger, right?
Yeah.
And it's because eventually that creates a situation in which you have a machine gun that's blowing away bosses and
enemies mean nothing. Yeah, 100%.
And they actually had a period in the game where they just said, fuck it, let's make everybody super powered. And they realized they couldn't figure out how to design raid encounters anymore because players were unkillable. Like, there were a combination of abilities you could use where, like, you would stand in a puddle and it would heal you constantly and improve your damage. And if you killed any enemy, the puddle would refresh and all sorts of stupid shit. And they were like, oh, we can't kill players. We can't figure it out. And that caused a situation in which they made bosses that could kill those players, but then would trounce the shit out of everybody who wasn't using that busted shit.
Right. Do MMOs or schlooters ever load enemies like scaled?
Oh yeah, they're all scaled. One of the weirdest things about Destiny is that you can only become like 20 power above something. So stuff never really gets any easier. It can only be harder.
But if you're rolling with a group of people, then it's scaling to your highest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, actually, it's scaling individual.
Oh, okay.
So you get in these weird situations where I can kill an enemy in one shot, but you can't.
And it's still, and so things are scaling individually. Oh man, that's a mess.
Dude, the game is like, I feel like they need to do like a whole fucking
yeah.
clean sweep.
So what's bothering me?
Like a whole start over.
What's bothering me is that like I get what you're describing, and it sounds terrible, but I also can't simultaneously think of a better way to do it.
Like, yeah, they have created a very weird genre where it's an MMO shooter and it's pretty much the only one. And they have run into constant design problems. And the weirdest thing by far is that Destiny 1 had item sunsetting, right? Like when it started. And the biggest change they made to that game were like, we hear you. We'll never sunset weapons again. You guys want to keep your weapons. And then Destiny 2 came out and I was like, you'll keep your weapons forever, guys. Don't worry. Okay, we're gonna have to sunset weapons.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like been like, for people that actually played Destiny 1 during that period, like they are losing their minds because it's like they are just full reversing like a change for the opposite reasons.
I mean, maybe based on maybe the 10-year game is not the ideal goal.
Maybe. That being said, I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I will go and find a Destiny nerd after this podcast and ask them to explain to me what I missed.
Like, you know, when they talk it up and say, "Hey, this is a decade-long experience," then it's like, and if you're disappointed when it's not that, then so be it. But you know what probably allows this to be avoided? Destiny 3. Like,
yeah,
Jesus, man.
So they were planning on Destiny 3 and then they stopped because they were like, no, we'll just continue iterating on Destiny 2. And everyone's like, maybe you should have. Well, not everyone. I'm like, maybe you should have. Destiny 2 is the game that got me to find out what Glassdoor was. Are you familiar with Glassdoor?
No.
It's a review site for businesses where people, after you leave a business, you can write a review on what it was like to work there. And it's the reason why I found out about that site, because people found that a ton of people worked at Bungie and then quit and then wrote reviews of them describing just how fucked up their development pipeline is.
Huh.
Anyway, sorry to rant and rave about that.
No,
it's just like that game is the craziest thing.
That sounds like a wild issue. And it sounds like a issue that, like, I would imagine a lot of massive multiplayer games probably like balancing against people's, like, balancing in such a way that you satisfy the occasional toe dabber and the absolute min, you know, of like, I'm going to get everything done this weekend, the first weekend that it's out, and I will be the best and strongest and you will not hold me back instantly. And it's like, oh, well, that we planned for this to last a lot longer than that, but you didn't make it happen. Why'd you do that? And it's like, well, because people don't want to wait that long. They just want to do it. You know,
it's and in a model like this where it's updating, they have a time limit to hit cap, because then the cap's going to rise again. I think the funniest thing is that, like, FF14 in its current state, when it came out, one of the big criticisms is that the game is almost laughably traditional. You have tanks and DPS and healers, and that is your roles. You have 4-man parties, 8-man parties, 24-man parties, etc., right? And when they interviewed the dev staff behind it, they're like, why did you make such a traditional MMO? And it's because, well, we know how to make MMOs work, and if we put weird shit in, we were afraid we were going to fuck it up again. We know how to make this stuff work. So we went and played it safe. And FF14 is really, really safe. But it works.
Boy, the core shoot bang loop of Destiny must be fucking crack.
It's really good.
After all
it's
this,
so good that's why when I talk
7,
about the perfect paradox being retired, I actually really care because I love that shotgun.
Because yeah, like, what the fuck is wrong with Destiny 2 Part 8 right now is like still just like, what's good here? And it's like everything that you've not mentioned, I suppose. But
dude, it's hilarious. They had like an event where like a fucking spaceship crashed into the Earth in this huge explosion. They were calling it like a Fortnite style event.
Oh yeah,
and it was an hour and a half really slow fireball.
I read about the description of like you can see it in the sky. Yeah, I read it. There's a meteor or something, and then like half an hour later,
a giant space station,
and then half an hour later it hit something, and then the thing started exploding for another 20 minutes. It was just like, oh, and then it finally touched
down on the ground, and it blew. So there was a balcony that you could watch it from, and when it hit down, the shockwave like knocked you back about 5 feet.
Sure.
And then like the area loaded in a different way, so there'd be like a beam through like a wall or something.
Yeah.
And it's just like the most flaccid fart ever. It's so embarrassing.
But I mean, just this idea where you're like, okay, listen, we want to have a live in-game event, and it's gotta be cool, but also, what if people miss it though? It's like, no, we gotta give them a chance.
Woolie, like, you're a Gundam fan, right?
Yeah.
So this will make perfect sense. The Almighty, which is the space station that hits the Earth, is approximately the size of a colony in Gundam.
Oh, wonderful! Right? So we're sitting in Australia.
So we're in the last city, and the touchdown is visibly on the horizon, and the end result is a couple pieces of debris and like a crater.
Just a nice peaceful little boonk. Yeah.
Like 30% of the Earth should have lit on fire.
Yeah, the planet cracks. The planet fucking cracks when you drop a colony.
It's so. Like, it's a space game, and they don't have any sense of, like, meteoric scale. It's ridiculous. Anyway, this is a long podcast.
Yeah. No, Doomsday comets are, like, infinitely smaller than...
Yeah, a kilometer-wide comet would be the end of you and me and everyone.
Yeah.
Hey, Doom, you know when they shoot the planet? They shoot Mars?
Yeah.
It's astonishing that the whole planet doesn't just completely fly apart, considering like how much the damage is.